Imagine this. You are a new prince, your grip on power as fresh as the paint on your palace walls. You inherited a state, or perhaps you seized one with audacity and steel. The people are watching, their loyalty a fickle tide. The nobles are scheming, their smiles hiding daggers. Rival powers circle like wolves, testing the scent of your weakness. You have an army, a treasury, and a crown. But none of it is enough. The throne you sit on is not made of gold and velvet. It is made of a single terrifying question. How do you keep it? How do you survive? This is the crucible into which Niccolò Machiavelli, a disgraced diplomat writing in exile, pours his life's blood and brutal observation. He offers you no comforting lies, no platitudes about divine right or the inherent goodness of man. He hands you a mirror, not to see your reflection, but to see the cold, hard geometry of power itself. And in doing so, he presents you with this central, gut-wrenching paradox that has made The Prince the most feared book in history. Is it better for a ruler to be loved or to be feared? You feel the weight of this question, don't you? It is not an academic exercise. It is the choice between two different kinds of chains. To be loved, you must be generous, merciful, and faithful. But generosity empties your coffers and makes you weak. Mercy allows conspiracies to fester in the shadows. Faithfulness makes you a pawn in the games of more ruthless men. Your love becomes a noose. Yet, to be feared is to walk a razor's edge. A ruler who is feared is safe from petty rebellions, his command obeyed without question. But cross an invisible line and you become hated. Hatred breeds the one thing you cannot control, the desperate man in the crowd with nothing left to lose, who values your death more than his own life. So, which is it? Which path offers true security? Machiavelli does not give you the answer immediately. He lets the tension build, forcing you to live in the space of that impossible choice. He forces you to confront the hypocrisy you've been taught. You were told that a virtuous prince, a good man, would be rewarded with a stable reign. But look at history, Machiavelli whispers. Look at the ruins of empires led by saints and the thriving states built by sinners. The world does not operate on the morality of the Sunday sermon. It operates on a different set of rules entirely. Rules of perception, of force, of calculated cruelty, and strategic kindness. This book is not a dry political treatise. It is a key to a locked door in your own mind. It is the key to understanding why the good often finish last and why the wicked so often seem to prosper. It asks you to set aside everything you believe about right and wrong and to look with unblinking clarity at what actually works. What is the true nature of effective action in a world that is brutal, unpredictable, and utterly indifferent to your virtue? The answer is more terrifying and more liberating than you can possibly imagine. The journey to find it begins not in a library, but here, in the gulf between the prince you wish you could be and the prince you must become to survive. So, what is the fundamental flaw, the hidden crack in the foundation that makes the prince's position so perilous? Machiavelli's diagnosis is as brutal as it is simple. The problem is not a weak army or empty treasury. Those are merely symptoms. The true, hidden problem is human nature itself. Machiavelli strips away the veneer of civilization and reveals a creature driven by a relentless engine of self-interest, ingratitude, and fickleness. You have felt this, even if you've never ruled a city-state. The colleague who smiles to your face, but undermines you for a promotion. The friend whose loyalty evaporates the moment you can no longer serve their needs. We are all, in our own small domains, miniature princes navigating a court of opportunists. Machiavelli argues that men are ungrateful, fickle, liars, and deceivers. They shun danger and are greedy for profit. This is not cynicism for its own sake. It is a clinical observation, a psychological truth he witnessed firsthand in the treacherous courts of Renaissance Italy. Think of it as the dark counterpart to Jung's shadow, the unacknowledged, self-serving drives that govern human behavior far more than lofty ideals ever could. The populace is not inherently evil, but they are inherently changeable. Their love is conditional, granted only as long as you serve their immediate interests. The moment you ask for sacrifice, or a rival offers them a better deal, that love can curdle into contempt overnight. This is the chilling reality that dooms the ruler who relies on goodwill. You believe your kindness has built a reservoir of loyalty, but you have actually built a lake that can evaporate under the first scorching sun of crisis. Your generosity is not remembered as virtue. It is remembered as a precedent you are now expected to maintain until you have given away so much that you are powerless. Your mercy is not seen as strength. It is seen as a weakness to be exploited. This is the core of the Machiavellian diagnosis. The prince who fails is not the one who is unjust, but the one who is delusional. He fails because he projects his own capacity for loyalty and virtue onto a populace that operates on a far more primal calculus. The consequences of ignoring this diagnosis are not just political, they are existential. A state built on the mistaken belief in human goodness is a castle built on sand. It may look magnificent in peacetime, but the first storm, a famine, an invasion, a clever rival will wash it away. The prince who ignores this will be remembered not as a good man, but as a fool. His reign will end in ruin, his family line extinguished, his state carved up by those who understood the game he refused to play. The problem, therefore, is not that the world is cruel. The problem is the refusal to see the world for what it is. And this refusal creates a vacuum of power, a vacuum that a more clear-eyed, more ruthless individual will inevitably fill. So if human nature is the disease, what is the cure? How does one build a fortress not of stone, but of perception and action in such a hostile environment? The answer lies in a concept so revolutionary, it would forever divorce morality from power. If this diagnosis of the brutal reality of power is shifting your perspective, you need to subscribe. The deepest, most unsettling revelations from history's most feared books are coming, and you won't want to miss what we uncover next. Accept Machiavelli's diagnosis, and the entire political landscape transforms before your eyes. You begin to see the invisible architecture of power, the silent consequences of this fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. It is a world where good intentions pave the road to hell, and where the most successful rulers are not the most virtuous, but the most perceptive. This is not a theory confined to 16th century Florence. It is the operating system of our reality, from the corporate boardroom to the international summit. The prince who fails to see this does not merely lose his throne. He unleashes chaos, war, and suffering upon the very people he sought to rule with kindness. Machiavelli illustrates this with chilling historical precision. Consider his analysis of the Roman Emperor Commodus, who inherited a stable empire from his father, the philosopher King Marcus Aurelius. Commodus, born to power, believed his right to rule was innate. He indulged in spectacle and decadence, thinking the people's love was his birthright. He failed to understand that the love given to his virtuous father was not transferable. He ignored the scheming of the Senate and the Praetorian Guard, believing himself secure. The consequence? His reign descended into paranoia and tyranny, and he was ultimately strangled in his bath, his death plunging the empire into a period of brutal civil war known as the Year of the Five Emperors. His failure to manage the harsh realities of power didn't just kill him. It shattered a century of stability for millions. This is the ultimate unseen consequence Machiavelli forces us to confront: the cost of not playing the game. The leader who refuses to be feared because he wants to be loved, often, through his weakness, creates the very conditions that make him hated. By refusing to make a few cruel but necessary examples of his enemies early on, he allows those enemies to grow, forcing him later to commit widespread atrocities to survive. By being too generous with the public treasury to win popularity, he empties the coffers and is later forced to impose crushing taxes, turning that initial love into seething resentment. His indecision becomes a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. Into that void step the true predators, the external invaders and internal conspirators who have no such qualms about using fear, deception, and force. This is the world shaped by the problem. It is a world where the moral choice is often the most destructive one. It is a world where the good prince, by his very refusal to get his hands dirty, inadvertently causes far more bloodshed than the ruthless one who acts with decisive surgical force. The stakes, therefore, are not merely about personal survival. They are about the stability of the state itself, the prevention of civil war, the avoidance of foreign domination. The prince's virtue, in the conventional sense, is a luxury he cannot afford if its price is the security and prosperity of his people. So, if this is the brutal reality of the world, what is the way out? How does one navigate this moral labyrinth without becoming a monster? The answer lies not in a list of rules, but in a radical shift in identity, a transformation into a new kind of leader, one armed with a quality Machiavelli calls virtù. So, how do you resolve the paradox? How do you rule effectively in a world of fickle, self-interested men? Machiavelli's prescription is not a set of moral commandments, but a master course in a single, formidable quality, virtù. This is the book's core solution, a concept often mistranslated as virtue. It is not about goodness. It is about effectiveness. Virtù is the ruthless, agile, and pragmatic strength of the lion, combined with the cunning, foresight, and deception of the fox. It is the power to shape your own reality, to command Fortuna, the goddess of chance and luck, rather than be crushed by her whims. This is the mindset shift that breaks you free from the problem. The Prince of Virtù understands that morality is not a compass, but a tool. He knows that the world does not reward you for your intentions, but for your outcomes. Therefore, his every action is a calculated move on the chessboard of power. He knows when to keep his word, and more importantly, he knows precisely when to break it. He understands that a well-timed, public act of cruelty can be far more merciful in the long run than a weak tolerance that allows a rebellion to fester and consume thousands of lives. He is generous when it builds his reputation, and stingy when it conserves his strength. He does not seek to be loved or feared as an end in itself. He seeks to be unpredictable, respected, and most of all, effective. His character is a suit of armor, but it is also a mask he can change to suit the occasion. Machiavelli offers a powerful metaphor to illustrate this. Fortuna is a raging river. The prince without virtù is the man who stands in the river, praying it will not rise, hoping it will change its course. He is, inevitably, swept away. The prince with virtù, however, does not hope. He acts. He studies the river's flow in the dry season. He builds dams and diversion channels before the flood comes. When the storm finally hits, the river, however violent, flows where he has directed it. This is the essence of the prescription. Stop being a passive victim of circumstance and human nature. Become the active force that shapes them. Your virtù is your dam against the river of chaos. This is the secret the book has been guarding. It is not a call to senseless brutality. It is a call to radical responsibility. The prescription is empowerment, but in empowerment it comes at a profound cost. It demands that you shed the skin of conventional morality and look at power with the cold, dispassionate eye of a surgeon. It asks you to accept that, to protect the garden of the state, you must be willing to pull the weeds, no matter how pretty their flowers might be. You are being let in on the ultimate statcraft, the art of making necessary evils serve a greater good. But this raises a final haunting question. If this is the path to effective rule, what is the ultimate truth about the prince himself? What does this relentless pursuit of virtù do to the man who wields it? The final synthesis reveals a truth far more unsettling than mere tactics. Now that you've been let in on the secret of virtù, ensure you don't miss the final shocking synthesis. Subscribe and hit the like button to help others discover these profound paradigm-shifting ideas. You began this journey asking how to keep a throne. You learned you must master Virtù and command Fortuna. But now, we arrive at the book's final, most profound revelation, the insight that ties all the cold strategy together. The ultimate truth of the prince is not about power over others. It is about the annihilation of the self. The successful prince, the ultimate embodiment of Machiavellian virtù, is not a man who has gained the world. He is a man who has become a ghost in the machine of state. His personal desires, his friendships, his loves, his morals, they are all subordinated and ultimately sacrificed to the one supreme imperative, the preservation of the state. The paradigm shift is this: effective power requires a profound, almost inhuman, inner emptiness. This is the haunting cost the book has been circling. The prince cannot afford a self. His generosity is a performance to avoid being despised. His cruelty is a calculated act to secure order. His promises are tactical, never personal. He must be so fluid, so adaptable, that he has no fixed character of his own. He is a mirror, reflecting back to his subjects and his enemies what they most need to see in order to be controlled. To be loved, you must reveal a self that is lovable. To be feared, you must reveal a self that is terrifying. But to be truly effective, you must have no self at all. You become a vessel for power itself, and in doing so, you achieve a kind of terrible, solitary freedom, freedom from the very human needs that make others vulnerable. This is the lasting transformation Machiavelli intends. After turning the final page, you can no longer see a leader's smile as just a smile, or a promise as just a promise. You see the geometry beneath. You understand that the world is not divided into good people and evil people, but into those who understand the game and those who are pawns within it. The book's legacy is this radical, disenchanting clarity. It does not make you a tyrant. It makes you unable to ignore the tyranny inherent in all structures of power, including your own life. You become aware of the small princes you must be. In your career, your relationships, your own mind, constantly balancing the need to be loved with the need to be respected, learning when to be the fox and when to be the lion. End with this reflection, not on statcraft, but on your own soul. Look at the choices before you, the compromises you make for stability, the hard decisions you avoid for the sake of being liked. The prince is not a monster's manual. It is a mirror held up to the eternal conflict between our inner moral compass and the external demands of survival. It leaves you transformed, not with a list of answers, but with a single, chilling question that will echo long after this video ends. In the small principalities of your own life, what are you willing to become to protect what matters most? The most feared book in history does not give you a weapon. It forces you to stare into the abyss of that choice, and in doing so, the abyss stares also into you. The book's reputation was solidified when it was banned or condemned by various authorities over the centuries. In 1519, just 6 years after its publication, the prince was placed on the Catholic Church's Index of Forbidden Books, a list of works deemed heretical or immoral. This condemnation only served to fuel the book's notoriety, and the prince has since become a cultural touchstone for discussions about power, politics, and morality. The moment of its condemnation marked a turning point in the book's history, as it cemented The Prince as a seminal work in the history of political thought. Its influence can be seen in everything from Renaissance politics to modern-day leadership. Despite its reputation, The Prince remains a thought-provoking and insightful work that continues to resonate with readers today. In conclusion, The Prince has had a profound impact on political philosophy, shaping our understanding of power and leadership. Its influence can still be felt today, with many leaders and thinkers continuing to grapple with Machiavelli's ideas. So, what do you think about Machiavelli's ideas? Do you think they're genius or despicable? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in exploring more ideas on political philosophy, be sure to check out my related video on the subject. If this final truth about the cost of power has left you rethinking everything Subscribe for more content that challenges reality. Let us know in the comments what you are willing to become to protect what matters. Your perspective is part of the conversation.